look at these skills needed for a good practitioner in developer relations and community management, I see 3 skills that I think really stand out. Empathy being the #1 skill that, I think is something no practitioner can ever miss. Feeling the pain that a developer has to go through when they have to implement a new feature. The ability to connect with people, seeing what they are really looking for and where companies like Google actually are able to create value. So for us, being able to connect with these people, with developers, with designers, with practitioners all across the different regions, that is really important. And then I think the other bits that oftentimes sadly is ignored if we look at this market is, being very strong advocates for this audience within the company itself. It's not enough to just go outside and blast about this is our newest product and this is our new solution and we would like for you to use it. But rather, bringing feedback back to the company and helping the company be better and, be more useful for the developers, making sure that developers can thrive in our solutions. So looking at the German market from a community management perspective, one thing that a lot of people tend to forget is Germany is a highly decentralized market. So if you compare it, for instance, to the UK or even to America, people would oftentimes think about 1 or 2 hubs that are kind of making up the developer or, design scene in the region. If you look at Germany, we have cities like, of course, Berlin, where we are right now, but, Munich stands out. If you look at the startup scene for B2B businesses, you see Hamburg, where a lot of agencies are based. Frankfurt is where most of the fintech scene is, and there are plenty of more other cities that are highly relevant. So based on the different vertical you want to touch, you cannot just concentrate on a single city, which is obviously a big challenge because it makes that face-to-face interaction that is really important to build trust and credibility within the community much harder. At the same time, I think it gives you also lots of opportunities to make sure you connect people from these different cities and get them together. And that is something where I feel companies like Google can really help. So if I look at daily practices that I like to use to, make my life easier, I'm a huge fan of office hours. So instead of, expecting everybody to have one-on-ones with me or scheduling them myself, making myself available and answer anything that might be relevant. But at the same time, not clogging up everybody's calendar, including myself. That works really well. So office hours, I really, really, really love. Making my calendar bookable by other people is one of those kind of work life hacks that I really love. And then really the other thing is concise communication, both on channels like email, but also in, Slack channels or whatever, other communication channels the community really appreciates. So I make sure I don't spam people over and over again, so there's not going to be 5 emails a week. So I try to, be respectful of other people's time and how much they want to actually engage with us. But at the same time, I want to make sure that my communication is applicable to everybody. Because, some people prefer email, some people prefer, synchronous communication, some people actually, want to have that offline meeting. And I cannot just prefer one over the other because we're, a pretty large community nowadays and everybody has their preferences. So what I loved for people to understand when they look at developer relations and community management is that we're not just a pure marketing function. DevRel is not just about, again, pushing out messages and, telling people about the product. Ideally, they are already aware about these products. I would love for people to understand that developer relations is a twofold role about really being advocates for the developer within a company. And then obviously also, helping people from outside the company kind of connect a face to the company. Because, large companies like Google, they tend to be, hard to grasp. Our company structure internally can be really difficult to navigate from the outside. So I would love for people to actually leverage us, to really work with us to build things together. And that is something where I feel, we can even do better. And people outside the, Google would really hopefully benefit from that. So I've been part of the Codemotion universe for a while, actually. I've been speaking at Codemotion events all across Europe, and I've been attending a lot of these events across the last few years. And I see Codemotion mature more and more in a lot of different areas. To give you one example, I think when it comes to diversity and inclusion, the conference is very vocal about best practices. You know, even if you just turn around your conference badge, you see ways about respectful communication as an attendee, how to be a good attendee at a conference, where I think a lot of conferences can actually learn from that. But then also other things, you know, a diverse speaker lineup, making sure, you know, different perspectives are represented not just in the audience, but also on the stage. That's something that I really appreciate at the conference. So my summary would be, you know, if you ask me what do I think about Codemotion right now, and especially this event, I'm actually quite happy to be here. And it's always great to see, you know, what developers are up to.